Welcome to the movie preview show, which does exactly what it says on the tin. Want to see a movie? Fancy a preview? You're in luck, this is the show for you. Coming up on the movie preview show. He speaks for the trees have no tongues. Animated adventures on the cards in Dr. Seuss's The Lorax. An uncelebrated 70s rock music icon finds his audience in the documentary Searching for Sugar Man. Still need motivation to see The Dark Knight Rises? We'll be sitting down with the stars of the film to banter about the Bat. You're watching the movie preview show. Dr. Seuss's The Lorax tells a story of a small mustachioed orange thing. What he is probably isn't as important as what he does. The Lorax is the world's protector of trees, which he doesn't seem to be doing so well.
The Lorax is a creature that lives in this forest who speaks for the trees, because the trees are, they have nobody to speak for them. And what his deal is, he's living a very happy life and with the animals and everything. And one day a guy comes with an idea to take the trees and make a sweater out of all of the fuzziness of the truffle trees.
The sweater idea proves to be a hit, and the tree is soon thought to be extinct. Zac Efron plays our lead, a boy called Ted, who is given the very last Trufella tree seed.
He's really the future of our world, and he's the one that's given the last seed, to potentially repopulate the world with trees. So he's got a big responsibility, and it's always fun watching courageous, young, intelligent guys against the world and corruption. He's a hero.
Audrey is this lovely red-headed girl who's sort of a free spirit, and she's the only person in her society that cares about the past. She cares about these things called trees that no longer exist.
Dr. Seuss was a children's author who's had a profound effect on American youth, with 46 books to his name, including The Cat in the Hat.
Big fan of Dr. Seuss and also of The Lorax. And I was very thrilled when they asked me to play the part.
Dr. Seuss was the first experience I had with poetry as a little kid. And after that, I became obsessed with poetry, and that later progressed into songwriting. So it kind of hit the very root of what I love the most.
I hope they take away some of that Dr. Seuss magic.
Dr. Seuss's The Lorax is in cinemas now. Sixto Diaz-Rodriguez is an American folk rock musician who's been releasing music since the 1960s. If you haven't heard of him, that's fine. He didn't really have a huge audience in his homeland either. South Africa, however, was a completely different story.
It's about a man, this man. He releases an album in the early 70s. It's a great album. The producers think it's going to be massive. They're at the same time working with Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder, and they say this is better. This is going to be huge. And the album is released, and it's the absolute opposite. It sells literally nothing, like less than 100 copies. So he makes another album, the same result, gives up, starts to work in construction in Detroit, really hard manual labor, and doesn't know that at the same time one of those copies goes to South Africa. And in South Africa he becomes more famous than the Rolling Stones.
It's overwhelming to go into a place and everybody's so especially friendly to you, and the thing is, and I knew it was genuine because they knew the lyrics and they would sing my songs to me and etc. And it's clear that they knew my material.
Searching for Sugar Man is a too-good-to-be-true documentary and a genuinely uplifting story.
Well, hopefully, it's a pretty inspiring story. A lot of people like crying out of happiness, which is kind of I think the most beautiful feeling there is, when you actually are crying out of happiness. So yeah, hopefully, and also the music. Those albums in South Africa where he is famous, in Australia, is as famous as Abbey Road or Exile on Main Street by Rolling Stones. He's one of the great ones. And why? Because the level of the quality is that high. It really is. So possibly, I really mean this, possibly those albums could be classics in the future. Like Nick Drake, Nick Drake didn't have any success when he was alive, and then he was, and Reese is alive, so he can still perform. But the quality is on that level, I think.
Searching for Sugar Man can be found in cinemas now. Set to be firmly glued to the box office top spot for a long time to come, The Dark Knight Rises is definitely worth a revisit. Deftly avoiding the spoilers, this film perfectly closes out Christopher Nolan's trilogy. What did the cast and crew do to celebrate? Sit down for a chat, of course.
I thought it was a worthy ending to this story. It was a chapter that was worth telling. I'd never been sure if Chris was going to be telling a third story, and so understood why, after reading this, why he wished to.
I was hugely impressed with what Christian did this time around. I mean, every film I've done with him, and I've done 4 films with him now, I see something new in what he can do. What's particularly impressive to me about Christian's performance as Bruce Wayne is if you look at the 3 films together, there's a very truthful arc to the performance over the 3 films.
The film can already be considered a major success. With the epic trilogy behind them, the cast have earned the right to sit back and reminisce.
I feel immense pride at being involved in this era of what Batman has come to be. During that, I feel happy that we managed to make him into something that was not just a man standing in a suit, that we gave reason to that. And very happy that I got to work with the people that I worked with. That's not only the cast, but the crew, who were constant, and Chris, obviously, as director.
I think that he's made a movie that will start a lot of conversations, and that's perfect. That's what you want out of a movie. It's not the kind of thing that hits you over the head with a moral message or anything, but just asks a lot of questions, and it's provocative. It'll provoke, your thoughts.
The Dark Knight Rises is breaking box office records in cinemas now. Also out this week, a look inside one of the world's most influential restaurants in El Bulli, cooking in progress. And a re-release of the 1957 British film Woman in a Dressing Gown. There's a huge selection of films to see in your local cinema. See you next week with another movie preview show. In the meantime, continue the discussion on Twitter @MoviePreviewNet, like us on Facebook, and check out our YouTube channel. To see more and book tickets, explore MoviePreviewNetwork.com.